kept you waiting, huh?
I started writing notes about what I want in Death Stranding 2 when I was trying to platinum the first game. I've played just about every Metal Gear that's not on the PSP, and I have a track record for predicting game features. I might actually be Psycho Mantis, or just Psycho. Using what I know about how Kojima likes to make games, I will predict what will be in DS2. Alright, let's assume he has an unlimited budget and unlimited time, because he actually might have that. Knowing that he's returning to stealth and working on a horror game with Jordan Peele, I feel like he'll try to fit everything he can into this game. And with a foundation already set from the first one that took him 3 years to make, imagine what he can do in 6 years. Kojima really likes to break the fourth wall, but he also likes to tie these things into the lore. Think about Metal Gear Solid 5 and how you created a character, seemingly your online character, and he was actually a body double of Big Boss. You were the character. That was a fourth wall break that was a part of the lore. Now, it's not just a narrative device, it was core to the story. You can never discount Kojima's mechanics as just a gameplay feature. So I think about DS1 and how you can continuously respawn and how there's hints of there being multiple Sams coming in and out of reality or out of the scene. Imagine if in DS2 he took this a step further and added a form of multiplayer in the same vein as Metal Gear Solid 5. We've already seen the cargo containers in a bunch of vehicles. One of my dream features would be an invasion mode. Like if another Sam or a player could travel through the tar into your session and attempt to steal your cargo, or maybe even help you. You could have Mad Max scenarios trying to escape someone chasing you across mountains and floods, or just straight up fight them with guns. I keep having this thought of beach versus beach combat. Wouldn't it be cool if every player had their own personal beach they could customize, like Mother Base, and fight other players running their own delivery service? Could that be the drawbridge? To people not familiar, in Metal Gear Solid 5, you build up your private military, you customize your base, and other players could warp in and steal your cargo, and you could drop in and fight them if you were online. This feature was always cool. I still play it from time to time. You could go in lethal, you could go in non-lethal, you could steal their soldiers and use them as your own. And even in that game, when you pulled up to an enemy PMC's base, you came in through a wormhole. I don't even know if this was explained in the story, I can't remember. But it was set up in a way that made sense within the lore. So this Kojima multiverse idea has existed since way back in 2014. It would be cool to have the choice between a strand contract with players and having enemies to steal from. Now this is just a dream feature that lives in my head, but Kojima really likes to revisit and remix mechanics, so I won't take this off the table. We will at least get some form of multiplayer where we interact with a control character, I think. But I'd settle for some co-op deliveries. One overlooked part of the first game is the fact that you can explore the scene when you die. And sometimes you actually see life swimming around in there. I've seen BT's whales and a lot of Sam dead bodies. But if you go back near the end of the game, you actually see more life than you do at the beginning of the game. So he's planted the seeds for this. I can't imagine Kojima resisting the urge to expand on this idea, considering we see the ship in every single trailer. Picture this. You have to travel to another part of the world, and to get there you have to traverse unknown waters. Now with BTs and humans free to move between these dimensions, we could fight BT whales and other creatures on the way to new areas. There is a 0% chance we don't get a giant kraken-like creature at some point, especially if the ship can be player controlled in the scene, which I think it will be. In the Death Stranding 1 documentary, they said that Death Stranding's gameplay was made before he even wrote the story. He builds stories around mechanics, so fingers crossed, this one I think is actually really likely. In the South by Southwest interview, Kojima also said that the ship would support you in the field and that they wanted to feel like it's backup. It's very likely that the ship will have abilities similar to using the iDroid in MGS5, but at a cost. I think you'll be able to drop in vehicles, equipment, and even change the weather. This is all things you could do in Metal Gear Solid 5. This will probably require hooking up an area to the new network. That way when you first go through you have to walk and rely on planning. The further you go, the more difficult the game will get, the more treacherous the environment, and the more abilities you'll gain to assist you in the field. Probably at some cost to your delivery score or something like that. Why else would Sam be moving giant cargo containers? I am begging for a BT pet to follow me around like D-Dog. Please, Kojima. Taking control of robots or maybe even calling in the samurai in combat. I don't think we'll play as multiple characters outside of select story moments though. I can see sections playing as Tomorrow, similar to Ciri in Witcher 3, Higgs, and maybe Neil, but I lean more towards Higgs and Tomorrow having playable sections. There's a 100% chance Timothy Chalamet will be in this game, 100% chance Sam Lake and Jordan Peele will be in this game. Basically anybody that is posted to his IG visiting his studio has had their feet scanned. You will definitely get to pilot the Magellan Man. There is no way they would make a figure for the collector's edition without it being a playable section similar to the Metal Gear battle in MGS4. The thing that makes Kojima games so fun is the fact that every action has multiple utilities. I hope we see some form of combinable structures or something like that. The first game, you had structures that helped, but there wasn't a ton of synergy between them. I never really built bridges or used ropes after I got the speed legs and vehicles. You could use bridges for jump momentum and ropes to walk through water to make it a bit safer. But I'd like to see more combos with Sam's personal equipment and the structures you can build. Let me dismount zip lines at any point. Give me an ejectocito on all my vehicles so I can launch myself over canyons and break my ankles. In one trailer you see Fragile fall off a unicycle and Kyrillium breaks her fall. I think this might really be a mechanic where falling from great distances uses Kyrillium. That'd be a cool way to make it a more active resource. You save yourself some damage while also losing the buff of lighter packages the more you expend. Kyrillium has always reminded me of the sands of time. It'd be so cool if they found a way to create a dagger of time like mechanic. Like imagine you fall off a cliff and you press a button to reverse what just happened to you. And it just moves in, it's just you in the world moving backwards through time. I don't know why I'm obsessed with this idea of this Tenet time reversal type of thing, but I want that to be in the game. That's one of the main things I want in there too. Considering Fragile can reverse the age of her body, this might be possible. I wouldn't count on this. I just like the idea. We've already seen that we're getting faster vehicles, new exo legs that let us jump out of tar, but also we see an enemy use a jetpack. I don't imagine they would add that if we ourselves could not use it, and there's pretty much a jetpack in the first one that lets you glide. The late game of Death Stranding 2 will probably see you running around at 100 miles per hour and jumping into a jetpack launch, landing into combat like it's Mass Effect Andromeda. Another parallel to MGS5 is the fact that the entire game centers around the evolution of this world and its people and its combat. In MGS5, you and your enemies will both be upgrading your weapons and defenses throughout the entire game. This will surely be a core feature here too. You get guns, they get guns. You get new equipment, they counter with equipment of their own like helmets and different types of robots. Perhaps in the Magellan you can send crews out on missions to disrupt these counters and limit the types of BTs in the area at a cost. So you have a route, you check the map and you see there's tar in a place you have to go through. You could go through it, you could avoid it, or you can send someone to get rid of it temporarily. Something like that. I think you'll have a much bigger effect on the world and the ecosystem in it. Instead of just exploring the world, you'll actually have the ability to control that drawbridge. Like maybe there's a risk reward to having more BTs as opposed to humans. And I think you'll have a way to affect that for sure. My mind keeps coming back to the concept that every country has its own type of beach. You know, something like when you go under the map in Elden Ring. You know, we see Neil in an American type of purgatory beach like Cliff. Since we're going global, I'd imagine the collective consciousness of a country would have its own beach with its own quirks. Amelie took the form of the US president. Maybe she has other forms. We know there's multiple versions of her. Or maybe she's not Amelie on these other beaches. Maybe there's an infinite number of EEs, all connected. I don't know, dude. What else is out there? At one point in one of the trailers, a character talks about guns being a part of American culture and trying to spread it across the world. Could countries weaponize their beach to fight other countries? Is that the new deterrence in this world? The servers and souls of America may be used to control a new type of army. The more we fight and the more death we spread, the closer humanity brings itself to extinction. Give me the Higgs guitar. It's no way we can't steal that from him and use it or make our own. I really hope that Higgs has a crew of band members, all with special instrument-themed weapons, like a remixed foxhound, but a band. In a way, the main characters of DS1 were like a form of foxhound themselves, all with different abilities that tied into the themes, even with superhero-themed names, to reflect America's obsession with superheroes. I hope Kojima gives us an iconic villain lineup to contest all his others. There's a part in the trailer that shows how the world has changed, and we see Sam walking in a place that looks just like the scene. So maybe they're playing with the very laws of nature like gravity or time, and different cargo could be influenced by these changes, making you heavier or lighter, giving a more dynamic randomness to deliveries. Imagine an area with low gravity, or an area that speeds up time and the degradation of objects. I'd like to see a mechanic where you walk through an area that makes you age backwards, like Benjamin Button. Maybe you could restore your equipment walking through a place like this, or even ruin it. It would be cool to see Sam's hair get shorter the longer he stays in a place like that, or maybe even see him age until he's too weak to move. But that sounds super expensive. I don't doubt it's possible though. The likelihood of all this increases if this is the last part of the story. Knowing that he's returning to stealth, working on a horror game with Jordan Peele, I feel like he'll try to fit everything he can into this game. And with the foundation he already set for the first game that only took him 3 years, knowing gameplay is his main focus, we could be seeing a game that's even bigger and more varied than anything he's ever done. This sci-fi PMC delivery apocalypse war game really could be the spiritual sequel to MGS 4 and 5, exploring the same themes of AI, automation, and the oppression of people via systems. The culmination of all Kojima's favorite themes, all the themes that connect humanity. Now, I will be making more Death Stranding videos, but I'm also not a Death Stranding channel, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I got 2 videos coming out that have nothing to do with Death Stranding. I just felt like spending my time editing videos and doing stuff like that was more productive than wasting my time on Elon's Twitter. If you have a desire to create something, just do that. Don't follow the algorithm. Don't get caught up in views and such. Just go out and make something. Maybe start a little community. I appreciate everybody who comments on my videos. I made this video in one day, just off one comment. It motivated me. So everybody go out there, start making something. Who knows who you'll meet? Who knows what conversations you'll have? And I can't wait for Death Stranding 2.
Right in the face.